this is how, by the way, you build blueprints, essentially, when you're thinking about AI agent blueprints or AI agentic blueprints. This is really a blueprint design. It's a system design pattern in which we're saying, well, hey, what do we want to design? How are we implementing it? And what are the results going to be through a series of inputs, outputs, and triggers, all right? And so far, what we've decided, or what we have in this system, or at least what we've uncovered, I should say, is that what we're going to be building here is this researcher, which is the trigger, which then sends that information over, right? It's sending this information over. This is the info that it's sending over to what? To our social media brain, which then takes that information and routes it to each sub-agent respectively, okay? Now, what happens when it gets to the sub-agents? Well, there's a few things. The first thing I want to point out is notice how each agent then is going to do what? Well, our sub-agent employees should then basically take the social media brain, because we always have to think about the step before, and we're going to see this in action. That's basically how Make.com helps you run tests. You can see the previous output and then test it for your next input, which then becomes the next previous output, right? And if that sounds confusing, it'll be super clear when we see it. But the Facebook agent, for example, is going to then take a look at the social media brain interpretation of the Perplexity research and then say, well, I'm going to make a post tailored for Facebook, all right? And then Instagram is going to do the same thing. Notice how Instagram has two agents. Now, why do you think that is? Well, that's because this agent here is actually for, maybe some of you who are more astute guessed it, this is going to be, mad respect if you get this right, for the photo, right? Because it's Instagram, you want to have a photo. So photo generation. So we're going to do some photo generation together as well, okay? Because you're posting on Instagram, there has to be a photo. It's just weird not to post a photo. And then X does the same thing, and then LinkedIn does the same thing. By the way, every step we see, every icon, we're going to refer to them as modules. These are modules. Modules are basically the design integration vectors that do the thing we want it to do. It just, the module means this is the Perplexity module, for example. So this is what does the research. This is an OpenAI module. That's going to be our brain. This is a router module. Again, AI agent, LLM modules. And so then these modules are our tools where basically we're going to take this output and then define them. Okay, let me make the weight a little bit smaller here, and let me change this color to something new. We're basically going to define this here, these tools, variable interpreters. Basically, all of this here are var interpretations, okay? So what that means is that we then take all this outputted data, right, like the Facebook post, the Instagram post. This is going to create an Instagram post. This is going to create an Instagram photo. This is going to create these posts and set them up to variables, which then can be easily plugged in to each of our distinctive platforms. And our platforms at the bottom, these platforms that we see down here, are what? Well, this is the authorization automation. All right. So this is basically where we don't have to go and say, all right, hit enter and approve, log into the account. This is where we set it up so it's automated for us, and boom, it's done. So there you go. This is what we're building. And now hopefully after this explanation, maybe you went from starting off being like, well, I don't understand what the heck is going on, to, okay, so really this isn't so bad. We have a researcher. It should be pretty logical, right? Like imagine there's no computer system here and people were doing it. It should be logical. You had a person that researches, then he talks to the person or they talk to the person that's you, that has your brand idea or your brand manager and says, well, great research, let's focus on this. Then that person emails and calls all of your employees that are in charge of your platforms, say, can you make a post about this? Da, 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 da. It could be all one person, but we separate them into 4 to make it even more precise for each platform. Why not? Makes it even better. And then we have basically conversion into variables that then output into each platform, and we automate the authorization, so it just happens like basically the person who's in charge of our security okays it for it to be posted. And that's it. That's what we're building. From here, you can get way more complex. You can create, and we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna leave that for the next lesson though and stop here, because hopefully now you see the flow and it's making more sense. And in the next lesson will be the last one before we actually start building, my favorite part. We're gonna build this together from scratch, as I mentioned. But in the next lesson, I do want to talk about, well, where are the rooms for improvement with quality assurance and checks and balances, or to make this even more modular and scale it up further, because this will work. It will work, and it's going to work very well. But like anything that you build, you want to build it knowing or thinking that you're building it so that it's easy for it to become even better as we go. All right, guys, stop here. You can take a little break, have some coffee. I'm drinking a delicious coffee. I'll see you in the next lesson whenever you're ready.